Hi, everybody. Welcome to Grammar this week, and we are still working with verbs. This week, we're going to talk about putting endings on verbs, the ending ing and the ending ed. Just like you watched in the video right before, you were watching about the ing. Whenever you add an ending to a word, it's called a suffix. So remember that verbs are the action in a sentence. They are your action. So they are your action right there. When you add an ending like ing to a verb, you're adding a suffix. And you're adding the ing to show how something is happening right now. All right? Now, when you add the suffix, the other suffix you can add, when you add the ed to it, you're talking about how something happened in the past. So the two things that you need to remember this week is you need to be able to identify that you can add the ing and the ed to verbs. Now, the ed you can't always add to every verb, but the ing you can. Now, the other thing that you need to remember is that when you add an ending to a base word, it's called a suffix. All right. Now, looking at this poster is actually rules, okay? It is actually the rules about adding ing. Now, to a verb, you can just simply add ing to it. Number two, if the verb has a short vowel and ends in a consonant, you double the last letter and add the ing. And we'll look at those in a minute. If a verb ends in y, you just add the ing. If a verb ends in e, then you drop the e and add the ing. All right? So now let's look at this. Just like I was saying, if a verb just ends in a letter like this, you're just going to add the suffix ing. I'm going to cook dinner. I am cooking dinner. Did you see how it changed time? Okay, now if the verb has a short vowel and ends in a consonant, so see, this one is different than this one because this makes an sound. I'm just going to add the ing. This one makes a short U sound, hug. So did you notice that I double the consonant and add ing? Now the two that you don't do that to is the W and the X when a word ends in it. Now let's look at the third rule. If the verb ends in a Y, you just add ing. So there's our Y, and here I am adding the ing. Now, this is the big time rule that I really need you to remember. If the verb ends in an E that is silent, you drop the E and add ing. So you drop the E and add ing. All right? And those are your rules for, isn't that cool? Those are your rules for adding the ing suffix to a verb. All right, now let's look at them. What do you think those kids are doing in that picture? Well, they're jumping, right? So my choice is I can use, sorry, man, I got to get used to this. I apologize. I could use a lot. I could use jump. I could use jumping. I could use jumped. So what I could do there is I could say the kids. That's my subject. Now I could say jump, jumping, or jumped. I'm going to use jumping. So I'm going to go is jumping up in the air. The kids, now I used it wrong. The kids are jumping. because if I use is, my subject is only one person. If I use are, that means that my subject is more than one person. Very, very important. The kids are jumping in the air. I like that sentence. Now I could make it past tense. I could say, boy, my computer is not cooperating. I could say the kids jumped up in the air. All right. So here we have it happening right now. The kids are jumping up in the air. And here we have it in the past tense. Now, what do you think what verb goes with that picture? I think he's running, don't you? So I say the man was running on the trail, on the path. Okay. Now what I do is I could do it past tense, and that's going to kind of change. The man ran on the path. So there I couldn't add the ed to it. The man ran on the path. So that was a little different. That's called an irregular verb. So I couldn't go the man runned on the path. So be careful with the ed because it doesn't always apply where you can add it like that. All right. Now this one, he's carrying something. So I'm going to say the man was carrying a backpack. All right. The man was carrying. And did you see that rule? The Y, add the ing. Did you see how run has a short vowel? So I had to double the N and add the ing. Did you see where the P did not have a vowel next to it? So I just added the ing with jumping. So those are three forms right there that we use. Now I could say the past tense. The man carried a backpack. Okay. Ooh. All right. So there you are. The kids are jumping up in the air. The kids jumped up in the air. The man was running on the path. The man ran on the path. That's irregular. The man was carrying a backpack. The man carried a backpack. And our last one is, what do you think he's doing? You could do a couple of verbs here. He's setting, isn't he? But he's also driving. So I could say the man is driving the car. Good. That's a good one. But if I wanted to do past tense, I could say the man drove the car. Did you see how that changed? So always remember that not every verb can have that ed hooked to it. And if you notice with drive, did you notice how the original word with drive is D-R-I-V-E, and I took the E off and I added the ing. Because remember, if it has a silent E, you have to drop it and add the ing. And then always remember, too, that you can't just add the ed to every word. Sometimes it turns into an irregular verb that does not have an ed on it. So I'm going to drive to the store. I'm driving to the store. I drove to the store. All right, write me some. No, you're going to take a break right now, aren't you? And then you're going to go on to writing. Thanks for listening.